forward to the paper claiming that Rose had sexually harassed them with allegations, some of them dating back to 1976. The Post also reports that some managers at CBS knew or were alerted about the alleged conduct on 3 separate occasions over the span of these 30 years. So I'm joined now by one of the reporters who broke the story, Washington Post contributor Irin Carmon. Irin, great to have you here. The numbers are staggering. You found 27 more women, I think, than we had previously known, who had some of these stories.
That's correct, Alisyn.
About Charlie Rose. And so were you surprised by the scale of this?
Alisyn, we had 8 women in our initial story, which led to Charlie Rose's story, his show being canceled at PBS and him being fired from CBS. What we were trying to do in the second story was not so much look for as many people as we could, although we were certainly interested in talking to anyone who had a story that they wanted to share. What we wanted to know was the accountability piece of it. We wanted to know who knew what. It's just that along the way, we were able to speak to so many women and corroborate and vet the accounts that they had shared with other people at the time, and some had documentation and so on, that had these unwelcome experiences with Charlie Rose along the way. Honestly, we could have kept on going. We could have kept on reporting and perhaps ended up with a larger number, but our focus was really on the knowledge.
And let's get to that. But first, I just want to give people a little sense of the kinds of things that women were enduring at the hands of Charlie Rose. I mean, this is just one of the anecdotes from one of the 27 plus women that you spoke to. Anne-Marie Parr, a 22-year-old news clerk, delivered a script to Rose. He had made lewd little comments about her appearance before, Parr said, but that day Rose took it further. Anne-Marie, do you like sex? She said, he asked her. Do you enjoy it? How often do you like to have sex? She said she laughed nervously and left. That's so gross, really. It makes my skin crawl that she had to endure this at work. And so what did you learn about what managers knew at the time, I mean, for these past 30 years, and what they did to address it?
Well, Alisyn, I mean, the story that you told about Anne-Marie Parr, she then went and did the thing that you're supposed to do. Even in 1986, it was known. You reported it to your manager. She got reassigned, and Charlie Rose kept being brought back for ever more prominent roles at the network. He was the host of the morning show. He was a correspondent on 60 Minutes. And along the way, women did alert each other. They did warn each other about working with him. And we've identified 3 different occasions. The earliest one is Anne-Marie Parr, in which women went to their managers and they said that they either had concerns or they had a specific experience that they wanted to share with those managers. Now, if you think about the fact that the most recent account that we have is from a woman who was 22 years old in 2017, Anne-Marie Parr reported having an unwelcome encounter with Charlie Rose before that young woman was even born.
Oh, my gosh, that really does put it in perspective. And so in your reporting, you did find that some of the managers did know about this and tried to address it and tried to do what they thought at the time was protocol and was accurate. But then there were others who said they didn't know anything about it. And I'm just wondering if you find that plausible, since this was a pretty open secret in the news business.
Well, we're really confident in our reporting. We've done everything we can to verify the accounts that we decided to publish. In the case of the 2 executive producers of CBS This Morning, who we have reporting showing that they were told specific incidents or a warning about Charlie Rose. In one case with Chris Licht, who's now the executive producer of the Colbert Report, he says that he followed the wishes of the employee and he did not further escalate it. But this is a good thing for people to know. The policy generally now at CBS and what's considered best practices is when you get that kind of report, you do have a responsibility to move that up the chain and make sure that there's broader accountability.
But I think that when Chris Licht, and sorry to interrupt you, I mean, I think from your reporting that when Chris Licht said that he was honoring her wishes for confidentiality and for not reporting it, that then was the company protocol that if the employee didn't want it, you didn't have to go.
Protocol.
Right. So there you go. I mean, so that and that leads us.
But there's also a legal best practices. Where we spoke to attorneys that, in fact, it's at least debatable Because when there's the needs of the individual employee and then there's the needs of the workplace. And if somebody then becomes a repeat offender, in a legal sense, it's something that is often considered to be a best practice.
Of course.
But,
and so that leads us to
I
I just do want to get to the broader question and answer, which is, do you feel, do you get the sense that CBS and on a larger scale, the news media have mended their ways as a result of all of this?
Well, what I've observed in the reporting is that it's really difficult. It's relatively easy. I wouldn't say it's very easy to report on an individual offender who has made women feel uncomfortable or women have specific stories about. What's really difficult is what happens after that person is gone. And this is true of any industry. It's true of the news media. It's true of any of the industries that are having this particular kind of reckoning. Because the banal knowledge, the idea that this is an open secret, the fact that somebody gives you information, it gets put aside for the fact that somebody may be very valuable to an organization. And so I think that after the firing comes the soul searching. And I know that there have been some difficult conversations at CBS. And I think these are conversations that could happen across any workplace.
Yeah, and in fact, NBC had announced to its staffers in a memo that today it would be releasing the results of its internal investigation. So we look forward to seeing what happens there. Irin Carmon, thank you very much for all of your great reporting. Really nice to talk to you.
Thanks, Alisyn. Good to be with you.
And thanks to our international viewers for watching. For you, CNN Talk is next. For our U.S. viewers, New Day continues right now. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to your New Day. The White House facing a major credibility crisis with so many misleading statements and lies. It is hard to keep track of them, but we'll try this morning. This week, we learned that President Trump paid off a porn star to keep quiet about her alleged affair with him. Rudy Giuliani, his newest lawyer, admitted the president fired James Comey because Comey refused to publicly say the president was not under investigation. Those were two new revelations. And CNN reported exclusively that Mr. Trump deceived voters before the election with a glowing health report that we now know he dictated to his doctor.
Sources tell CNN Rudy Giuliani's revelations, or really new theory, blindsided the president's other lawyers and the White House communications team. Giuliani also said that North Korea would be releasing 3 American prisoners yesterday, which was a blessed distraction and something everybody would want to see, but it didn't happen. Why is the president's lawyer, who's helping on the Russia investigation, making statements about national security issues? Does he have a security clearance? In a moment, we're going to talk about all that with former White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci. Let's begin, though, with CNN's Caitlin Collins, live at the White House with our top story. Good morning, Caitlin.
Well, good morning, Chris. The president today is at odds with a lot of his own White House after many of his staffers were left in the dark yesterday after that revelation by Rudy Giuliani, which prompted widespread frustration and disbelief, not only among the president's legal team, but also among the people who work inside of the building right behind me. Now, their responses to these questions yesterday about who knew what and when did very little to clarify the confusion, but it did a whole lot to call their credibility into question. Rudy Giuliani's revelation that President Trump reimbursed Michael Cohen for the hush money given to porn actress Stormy Daniels just days before the election, catching many in the White House off guard. One aide telling CNN Giuliani's interview stunned and shocked the communication